Okay, never mind that. Welcome, everybody. And maybe you've already guessed it, but today, under the microscope, we are talking about marriage. Okay, I know we played in with wedding songs, and wedding is only one aspect of marriage, but we couldn't really think of marriage-themed music. I mean, we didn't want to open the show like this. I'm joking, guys. I'm joking. Right. Too often, marriage is the butt end of many lame jokes, and today I want to talk seriously about it because marriage is serious. It's not just a legal union, but it's also a spiritual union of two people, or three people, or 22 people. I see you, JZ. I see you. Marriage means long-term commitment, a meeting of minds, and it should be based on love, mutual respect, and of course, equality regardless of gender, who earns more money or who put on more weight after the marriage. That's an equal opportunity weight joke. In South Africa, our constitution recognizes civil marriages between men and women and of course same-sex marriage. In fact, we were the first African country to legalize same-sex marriage and the first country in the world to safeguard sexual orientation as a human right. Which is fantastic because it showed and continues to show our democracy in action. Our law also recognizes customary marriages under African indigenous law and even recognizes polygamous marriages. Now, no judgment against the polygamists out there. But the human rights issue with polygamous marriage under the Recognition of Customary Marriages Act is that it can be seen as discriminatory against women. I mean, think about it. Only men are afforded the right to have multiple spouses. Women are not afforded that same right, and that goes against our constitution that entrenches by law gender equality. Why can't it be that a woman under indigenous law should be allowed to wed multiple husbands, just like a man can wed multiple women? I don't know how you do that though. Yo, Brad, that sounds like, it's challenging, right? But people do it, but it's not unthinkable in a world where women are actually paying for their own Lobola and Banyana are performing better than Bafana. Food for thought. And it's not just about discrimination against women. We're actually failing our young girls as the illegal practice of child marriage still goes on in South Africa. It's called ukutwala, where young girls under the age of 18 are forced into marriage with older men who pay off the poverty-stricken family. Now, ukutwala is illegal as it violates the basic human rights of children. These men who force children to marry them are not husbands acting under their right to their culture. They are pedophiles breaking a litany of laws. Ukutwala subjects children to kidnapping, rape, human trafficking, gender-based violence and exposure to HIV, AIDS and other diseases. It's like a horror movie, bruh. Starring Bill Cosby, directed by Woody Allen and produced by Harvey Weinstein with the soundtrack by R. Kelly. Hectic, bruh. And the number of child brides is truly shocking. The last Stats SA survey results showed that 91,000 girls between the ages of 12 and 17 were actually victims of child marriage. It's inconceivable that so many girls are robbed of their freedom and their futures. Now, in order to stop men from illegally marrying children, it's obvious that the state needs to clamp down and secure more convictions. But much work needs to be done in communities to dispel misogynistic and unconstitutional beliefs around culture and promote the rights of girls and women by educating on gender equality. Like I said in the previous episode on misogyny, South Africa has come a very long way in securing freedom and racial equality post-apartheid, but we're still lagging behind on gender equality. Take another example where women are subjected to marriage as a male-dominated institution. The changing of a surname, right? In the past, South African law required a woman to change a surname to that of her spouse. She had no choice. It had to happen. But luckily, with the end of apartheid, came the end to that outdated law. However, our society is still so dominated with a specific way of thinking that even when a married woman asks on a marriage form to not change a surname, it's still very common practice that officials at Home Affairs illegally change it by default anyway to that of her spouses. She has to then go reapply at Home Affairs to have her maiden name reinstated under the ID. Put yourself in her shoes, standing in the line at Home Affairs for hours. You might start to understand another reason why women are hurtful of a male-dominated society that treats them very unfairly. In addition to choosing to keep their original surnames, some South African women are also defying gender norms by paying for their own lobola. You know the tradition where a man usually pays a bride price to a family in cash or cows, which kind of makes you your own cash cow. Think so, is that right? On social media, women have come out to say they've actually paid for their own lobola simply because they had the money and their prospective husbands did not. And it was a way to ensure they could get married. Now, of course, some cultural purists have criticized this. One cultural expert and scholar, Mbuso Khoza, said, "This looks like we have taken other people's culture and made it ours. When we distort our culture, we don't realize that we are actually killing our own African spirituality," which is a valid point. But if you keep the spirit of the tradition, which is protection of the bride, respect for the family, honor in fulfilling your responsibility, maybe the tradition can evolve. For example, traditionally payment was supposed to be made in cows. Then people broke with the tradition and money was allowed. Tradition provides a solid foundation, but as the world progresses and relationships between human beings evolve, can traditions not evolve too? It's a question. Maybe we can explore having some sort of flexibility if traditions are to remain not only culturally relevant, but also socially practical in the world today. Marriage itself is a tradition, and yet more and more South Africans are choosing not to get married. According to Stats SA, marriage in South Africa is on the decline, and divorces are on the increase. People are getting married older, and unmarried people are choosing cohabitation over tying the knot. So, is marriage a fading tradition, and is it even necessary in this day and age? The honest answer is, choosing to get married will always be a very personal decision. There will always be people who choose to marry and of course those who don't. What's clear is that the old school patriarchal institution of marriage, where the husband holds more power than his wife, is being re-examined, reconsidered and slowly being dismantled, as women quite rightly define their roles as equals in marriage. And this is a really good thing for our society. Studies show that equal partnerships in marriage benefit the health and mental well-being of both the husband and the wife. And this makes sense, as an equal partnership tends to be more open and honest, with more intimacy. This often means less conflict and more support for each other's endeavors. And this helps families to prosper and helps children grow and develop into well-balanced adults. Now, that's a good reason to put a ring on it, bro. Now, in conclusion, whether you say I do or you don't, or kabiltu nikahaha li nafsi bidhalik, look it up, people. You must remember to base your relationship on mutual respect and then feed it with love. If you're a man who wants to be a better partner or spouse and need help, advice, or support, click on the link below. Lots of information there. So that's it from me, Dr. Riyad Musa, with Under the Microscope. I'll see you next time. Want to be more interesting at brides and dinner parties and not just talk nonsense and learn something by subscribing to Under the Microscope with me, Dr. Riyad Musa.